Welcome to the Bookworm Bindery with Cathy-Lynn. We are going to be working today on the Christmas Junk Journal. This is part 3. So if you've been following these, then hopefully you've already subscribed and clicked the little bell to get your notifications. If this is new, there are 2 videos before this one because this is part 3. Yeah. So the first part is sort of an introductory to what's going on. It has a big mess of things that I can use and what I'm going to be doing. Part 2 started and cut off. And I'm a bookmaker. I'm not a video expert. And so I did choose to simply end that video, and we're going to pick up where we kind of left off, but when it cut off, it just started filming again, and I was getting ready to show you this belly band. So it was not glued into the book yet, did not have this piece of eyelet. It was the bottom trim of a scalloped piece of cotton with this beautiful embroidery in it. Let me lift it up. You can see it a little bit better once it's closer. Okay, so in the resulting video, when it cut off and started up again, I glued this in. So it is a piece of sheet music. It is reinforced on a fairly lightweight piece of cardstock. It's not... It is cardstock. Wait, anyway, it's coming out slowly but surely. It's falling out. This is kind of a lightweight brown, as you can see. This is in between, I don't know, maybe cans of cat food, or depends on who gave it to me. I have a friend who works in a restaurant, and these come in between some items that they get in the restaurant, and she brings them to me. And then I have a friend who was buying specialized cat food for an elderly cat, and that came with this kind of weight of cardboard between. It's not cardboard because it's not corrugated, and it's not quite as heavy even as the sheets that they use in cardboard, but this card, and I put it to good use. So that is what is backing this. So I glued it on here, and I glued it on here, leaving a nice big space. And then I have this little tag, or journaling card rather. Small, but there's certainly enough room to write a little thought or two. And I tucked that in. I probably won't leave this in. I'll be able to put thicker and bigger stuff in here, but for now it shows the purpose. And then I would have just kind of flipped through, or I did, just go ahead and flip through and show you just kind of some of the rest of this ecru crocheted lace. It might even be tatted. I don't think it's crocheted, I think it's tatted. And another journaling card that's been tucked into the back side of the paper clip holding the business card in. And then these were shank buttons that I just cut the shank off with. They're plastic. I just used a pair of dikes and got really close to the back edge and cut it. And then I glued them on here, used a piece of ribbon, made an X, and tucked this in. So this has been discussed in the first video as well, but I touched on it. So now what we're doing today in part 3, now that I've showed you what didn't get put into part 2, is I have several things that I'm going to work on and I'm going to glue in. So we had talked about these tuck space folded book pages, and there is a video on them if you want to back up and look at that under demos, in the demonstrations rather. So there's that, and I'm going to get these glued in, and I have some journaling cards and journaling tags to be put in. So those are just ready. I'm going to slip those in. And I have a few that need to be used, added onto before I use them. So let's start actually by putting these in. One's a little bit bigger than the other. I am going to glue that here, here, and here so that this becomes a pocket in the back as well. I don't come up these sections at all because I want to be able to put something in and not have this part glued down. So basically that'll stop in this section here. So let's do that. So I have I generally use Fabrifix. I prefer it over Fabri-Tac. It is a little bit more expensive. I find that it grabs quicker. I can still kind of slide it around, but then it actually glues. It sets faster. So I can put something in. I can move it around a little bit. And then maybe we'll just put this first one right here. With this tuck space on this side, it will be difficult to write here once you get into this because it's got this ridge. So I prefer to leave my writing spaces without pockets or tucks tucked onto, glued onto the back side. So this is going to go here. Anyways, Fabrifix is my preferred. I do have to order it on Amazon. I can find the Fabri-Tac at craft stores like Joann's. You can find it at, I believe, Michael's. My Ace Hardware carries it in the 4-ounce size bottle. And, you can probably find it at fabric stores. It's just that Tucson has to rely fabric store-wise on craft stores that also sell fabric. And Michael's has recently pulled their online fabric shop to some fabrics in their store, at least the one closest to me. And that's nice. But a full-on fabric store, no. Hancock's closed down a few years ago. Okay, more than a few years ago. We had a discount fabric shop of SAS, but they are centered in Phoenix, and the Tucson store closed in 2020. The owner had been talking about it for a long time. She kept open the ones in Phoenix. So see, that can go in there. She didn't like having to make that trip, a couple of times a week, and I get that. Unfortunately, that has left us without an actual fabric store. Honestly, a regular fabric store. There's a couple of quilt stores, so they have cottons, and that's really nice. And then we have a couple of upholstery and drapery stores. So, I shouldn't discount those. They are truly fabric stores, but for fabric stores for clothing, no. So it's very possible that some of the specialty fabric stores also carry the Fabrifix. I buy mine on Amazon. Okay, so I've got that one in. I'm going to go into the second signature. I put this one on the first page inside the signature cover. So for the second signature, I'm going to go into the second half of the signature, but I do have a coloring page here. So I will want to make sure that I don't put anything. Oh, I already did here. And that was, I didn't realize when I put this on, there was already something here. Whoops. So I definitely don't want to do that again here. So we'll go a couple pages in. And, oh, this already has a little guy up here. So let's glue this one. So that's enough about glue, I'm sure. You can use pretty much any glue. I prefer to go for glues that are acid-free and permanent. So a glue that's like, say, Elmer's, or a standard glue stick that isn't labeled as permanent is literally not. And just like tape, the adhesive will slowly but surely dry out and your item will fall off. Okay. So acid-free is really important. especially if people are going to be using photographs where they have, memorabilia that's old. We often talk about ephemera pieces and the term ephemera refers to something that's made up but not intended to be kept, not a keepsake. So often they become keepsakes. Concert tickets are saved and put in books. Okay, I don't know what this is. I don't want it out. I can't get it with my fingers, so let's try a tweezer. It's a little random piece of plain paper, maybe. Yes. Okay, there we go. And just things like invitations to a wedding, for instance. You're going to put that in a book. There's going to be possibly pictures. There might be a snippet of the lace from the veil of the bride. Things like that. You're going to want acid-free. So that's why that sort of kind of a thing you'll hear people say, oh, this is acid-free paper, which it is. And, acid-free tape, acid-free glue, acid-free ink. So yeah, it has its reasons. All right, now I'm going to go into the third signature, and I already have a belly band here with a little thing. Let's take that out. We're going to put a bigger thing there. But let's put on the back side of this, let me weigh this down with a pair of scissors. Let's put a tag. So a pocket. So I have several that I've just set aside. 3, I guess. I'll go with 3 that I've set aside. And we'll pick this one. I feel like it needs a little bit of something. So I decided to pull out some red lace. That would be pretty. Or I could use some crinkle seam binding. Now, don't go all fussy on this and go, oh my gosh, it's crinkled. I need to iron it out. If you want to iron out seam binding, you can just go to the fabric store or the craft store. But this has been purposefully crinkled so that you can put it in and have this kind of a look. And actually with this particular piece, I think this is what I want, not this lace. So I'm going to move that back. And I'm going to cut a piece of this and glue it. And then we're going to glue this in. And then I'm going to pick up something to tuck in. All right. So remember, we don't want to pull it tight. And if I cut it just a hair long, I can scrunch it a little bit more. Although if I've glued it and it's sticking off, I can cut it because that's what scissors are for. Okay. All right. So here is the first comment that I'm going to solicit from you. And that has to do with scissors. Are you of the mind that fabric scissors should never be used for anything else? You can use them for fabric, but if you used it for a piece of paper, or worse yet, your husband, kids, roommate, then, you'd have to go get it sharpened, and they'd get a long lecture. You might threaten to off them, or, stick them out in the doghouse for a month, or send them off to grandma's house. Is that you? Or are you one who says, oh, well, I'll just take them and get them sharpened again? That's the question for the comments, and I would love to hear what you have to say about that. I have had in the previous past worked at Hancock Fabrics for a few years, like, I don't know, 13, 14, 15. Sometimes it seemed like weeks, and other times it seemed like a century. Okay, so that's glued on. I'm going to go ahead and cut off this end, but I'm going to leave this one. And I don't know why, but that's what I decided. That's that. It's my project. Okay, now I'm going to U-glue this to make a pocket. So, scissors. Here's my thing. If you're like, ooh, I only use my fabric scissors for fabric, but I sew everything from sheer silks to wools and linen. Wool and linen is harder on your scissor edge than paper. Do you have a specific pair of scissors that you only cut wool and linen with? Or perhaps you just have a really special pair to cut your really fine things with. So, just so you know, and this may make you unsubscribe, I'm willing to take a stand on this. I use a pair of scissors for whatever is at hand, with one exception, and that is wire. So, you know, you can get a little piece of glue sticking off there. You get trim or ribbon. Sometimes it has wire in it. I only use a pair of dull scissors for that, because that can actually put not just, it won't make just little burrs, but it can actually cause a little bit more deeper surface damage. So I tend to use cheap scissors for metal, but I've been known when I'm in a hurry. So let me show you what I'm talking about. It probably makes perfect sense. But this is a piece of kind of acetate satin ribbon. And it has this, can you see that? These little pieces of wire. So sometimes I pull that out, cut it, and then pull this back in and use this. Sometimes I use it as is. I kind of like that for belly bands and for pockets because it reinforces the edge. So I might leave the top in and take out the bottom. Sometimes I take it out altogether, and sometimes, yeah. Okay, so here's this. Now, I have a tag and a journal card, and this is one of the wide pockets. So I wanted to be able to slip these inside, and this barely fits. Because while this is wide enough, the glue, when you mush it, kind of goes in a little bit, but this does fit. So, let's see. I think I'll use this one. Once it's tucked in, this will show. Yeah. And not that this tag has to stay with this tuck, but seeing how it's starting out with this tuck, I'm just going to make a little bit of a loop at the top. Okay, and we're just going to glue it on. I think I'm going to glue it on the front side. That way, this is not thick, and you'll be able to write on the back very well. So yeah, let's glue that on there. So that's me with my scissors. So I think you're going to run into problems with that with scissors that are. I was going to make a wider loop. I think I offset my glue, and it's going to be crooked. So let's see what we can do here. I'll have to talk about this thumbnail in a minute. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to turn this over to the other side and bring it here. And because I did put that off center, I put these edges of the ribbon onto the glue. Now I'm going to have to put some more glue over here to kind of pull this into center a little bit more. Yeah, and then we're going to fall back on. It's called a junk journal, and so it's okay if it's not perfect. Ta-da. So yeah, let me know about your concept on scissors. I always feel like it is well worth buying a $20, $30 pair of scissors. Having them sharpened is going to cost you, I don't know, I think the last ones I had done were $3. I get my scissors sharpened regularly. At my another job, I sew a lot and cut sequins and cut tons of fabric, and you know, they get dull, so I take them in to be sharpened. And at the point that I feel like I've paid as much in sharpening visits as I paid for the scissors, I still have a good pair of scissors. I think when you buy $5 scissors, you get $5 scissors, and they're going to have to be sharpened sooner. And you know, sometimes that's what you need to do, and that's fine. That's what you've got the time for or the money for. Go for it. They're scissors. But I always I even sharpen my cheap scissors. If it costs as much to sharpen them as to buy a new pair, that's one less pair of scissors in the recycling bin or the garbage. You know, we need to stop this. We need to really work on making items that are quality that you can resharpen in this case, not just throw away. That's a whole nother post-consumer issue. Okay, so we've got that. And, oh, you know what? I want to ink this. So, let's see. What do I have? Let's go with a true red. Round. But remember that this, here, put those scissors to good work. Good use. Put them to work. Something like that. This is a journaling card, so we're going to turn it over. And we're going to do this on this side as well. We need to re-ink this up. I do find that these are fairly new, so it doesn't have a great deal of saturation on the pad. I splurged last week and bought these. I've been using makeup sponges before that because I had them. Yeah, that looks nice. Let's just do a little bit of this sort of hueing. I.e., this isn't just a plain old back. No, no. It's good, and you should use it. Okay, there's that. What are we looking at? We're getting at 20 minutes here. Okay, so let's do this other one. We'll do it on this page, I think. I don't know that it matters a whole lot. Not yet. We're early on. We'll put it here. It'll go along with this ho, ho, ho. And, you know, before I go anywhere farther on this, I think I'm going to go ahead and ink this one. I'm actually going to use, so the other one was just a true red. This is Distressed Inks Brick. What is that called? Fired Brick. That's what I'm going to put on this one. Again, hello. Let's play with this on the back as well. And while the front part of that is intentionally somewhat disguised at this part, I'm going to open this up and I'm going to ink the back. And maybe I'm going to ink the back here. Maybe I'm not. Not really. Okay. Slide that in. And yeah, you know what? Maybe what I can do, maybe what I'll do with this one is slip it in that belly band. If I can find the belly band. Don't know where I put it. Note to self. Okay, let's see if that'll fit. Won't. If I put it this way, it's going to stick out a little bit. Nope. Okay, never mind. I'll need to stick something else in there. What else? What else do I have over here handy and ready to go in? Well, if we put in something with a bow, that bow will help keep it from falling out that way. And if it falls out this way, it's going to go into the book. Better chance it'll stay. Okay, so in that case, what are we going to do? Let's go to the front of this. This is a very flat piece of wrapping paper. I think writing over that is not going to cause any jumps in the pen. So I'm not going to worry about that. So let's put this pocket here. We'll make sure it fits. It does, as long as I'm very careful with the glue. So that's what we're doing. We're going very careful with the glue. Would have been a nice writing place. That's okay. Oh, what's this? Not quite as well glued on. So we'll slip it off. But this also then allowed this to lift. So I'm going to put a touch of glue here. Because the last thing we want is for whatever it is we're slipping in to the inside of this pocket to get caught up on that loose edge. Make sure there's no other problems. Good. All right. Promised you a story about this crazy nail. So I jammed my thumb into, it was the cat carrier. I take my cats. I have 2 Bengals that go with me to work every day. And so I was putting one of the boys into the carrier. And actually, he'd already hopped in. They've been moving back and forth between my home and my studio. They're 3 months old next week or so. Or 3 years old. And I started moving them back and forth when they were about 5 months old. So, you know, they just grew up used to their carriers. The carriers sit open right next to a cat tower that I have for them. And they're in and out of it sometimes, whether they're at the dance studio or they're here at home, they'll just get in and take a nap. They're very comfortable with them. I have 2 other cats that live at home and don't go anywhere. And they think the other 2 cats are insane because they're like, we know what happens when you go in a cat carrier. But anyway, jammed my thumb. It wasn't quite as long as this one, which with black nail polish, these look pretty short. But you can tell, you know, that's a pretty long nail. This one was not quite as long. Jammed it in, broke it way back at the quick. Not bad. It didn't hurt horribly. It didn't bleed. It just cracked on both sides, so I cut it off. And then I was thinking about Halloween and what I wanted to do for Halloween. And I bought these really long pointy nails for, you know, they're just like a full cover glue-on type of a thing. And for Halloween, and I thought, I know, I'll put one of my witch nails on and paint it black so that it matches the rest of my fingernails. And so I did that. And everything was great. And then yesterday, this one broke. So it's not the same style. And so this is a long stiletto. This is, I think, a medium almond shape. But I was like, well, we'll try that one because maybe I want to use these for Halloween. They're not as long. It won't be quite as crazy. So I glued that one on. I think if I just cut that tip off, it'd look much more like my regular nails, which I do tend to keep squared. It's just a preference. They're getting too long. They have to be cut back soon. So probably in the next video or 2, you'll notice, well, first of all, different colors because I change the color of my nails all the time. But if, you know, in part 4, the nails are shorter, you'll know I've gotten them cut back. Okay. Maybe enough babbling. Let's see if this will fit in once this glue is set on this side. And it hasn't gotten too thick for it. Okay, let's see if that will hold. Feeling like maybe the glue came in too far on that side. Nope, I think it's going to fit. I'm going to leave it out for right now, let this corner just finish setting up, but I'll leave it here. Okay, well, you know what? We are hitting the half-hour mark, and while I didn't get terribly far with putting in the things I had to put in, let's just take a minute then, and let's load this up. So, this is kind of tall. Let's put this here. And then let's take this little guy, put him here. And then let's take this guy with his bow, slip him in here. And I have this one. This is perfect to set in the back because it's tall. It has a ribbon. And then I have this guy. His ribbon sticks up. I think he'll show when he's in here. Yes. So that is the way that you could load up one of these fun book pages that have been folded. And you could use something other than book page, obviously. You know, you could use copy weight paper. I think if you get much heavier than like a, I don't know, much heavier than say 26-pound paper. Regular copy paper is 20. So if you get anything much heavier than like a 26, you get into cardstock, you take a chance of these folds breaking. But it's a personal preference as well. So yeah, if you like this look, go back and check that out in the pips, the projects in progress. If you go to that section, there's a couple of videos. This is the latest one that I put in. So there you go. Thank you very much for sticking with me. And if you haven't yet, please hit the like if you liked the video. And I will be back with some more work on this. Some of these things will have already been done. But yeah, there we go. Thanks. Have fun.